Hey, how's it going? Let's go racing. I'm Zach. Thanks for joining. We were at Richmond, Virginia this weekend. And first thoughts, I had a really nice time watching that race. Really nice time. Obviously there's some cautions, some wrecks, and there were stages, but there's still lots of strategy, lots of trying to figure out tires. Matter of fact, I think tires were the defining factor for one driver, and you had pit road mistakes that were the defining factor for other people, and pit road victories, which is ultimately what helped Larson end up winning that race. So I'm just going to go through my notes here. First of all, because of weather, there's no practice, no qualifying, so they just on the track on this brand new. I say brand new package. They've raced with this brand new package. At Phoenix and now Coda. And so, but this was really to me the first short track that this low downforce package was at. And I'm interested to see what more of the drivers say over the next couple of days about it. But from, just a spectator's view without actually being in the car, it looked more fun. It looked harder to drive. It looked like, you were able to actually run behind people and get runs and not stall out behind people and get passes. So I thought that was fairly successful, and it was just nice to watch. Again, early on, we saw that there were different lines that were available to people to drive. Now, maybe earlier in the run, you could do run up high and have time and have speed. And, eventually everyone seemed to sort of work their way lower and lower on the track. But if you had to pass someone, you could time it up pretty well to get some momentum on the top. And if you're trying to keep someone from passing you, I saw a lot of cars sort of let them have the bottom, but then not give them the exit off the turns the way they wanted to. And it sort of kept them down there. So we saw that. Larry Mack was in the booth. And I love when Larry Mack's in the booth. He's always prepared. And I think more importantly than just Larry Mack, like even if you had a different engineer, a different crew chief, a different racing perspective, not a driver's perspective, but a technical perspective, a strategy perspective, talking throughout the race. And I know they use him regularly throughout the races, but to have him there the entire time was very nice, very well balanced with Clint Boyer. So I enjoyed that. I guess one of the big stories, and Hamlin has not released his podcast yet, so I'm interested to see how he talks about this. But Hamlin's bump and dump of Yaley there. I think looking at it, I think Yaley sort of squeezed him there, didn't give him the space that Hamlin wanted, and actually made some contact there. And Hamlin just wasn't going to deal with that, and so I think he just bumped him out of the way. We'll see. He might not say anything. We had people racing through the field. People were going back and having to get spots back. We had people drop. We had people come and go. Logano was up and down all day long. Hamlin fought his way all the way back, only to have to go all the way back again. And ultimately, just I think tires were part of the biggest story for this race. There's just good fall off on the tires and making I don't know, you just had different phases of a run. You had the phase where, some people just don't have the experience not to use up everything. And you had people who have the experience to sort of not waste their tires so much. And then you have people on different strategies who pitted at different times, and you've got them facing each other. And it was just really, really fun. And ultimately, tires ended up defining the race for Truex Jr., right? He didn't have a fresh set of tires for that last caution. He had scuffs that had 7 or 9 laps on them. And so he just couldn't compete. I just listened to a clip of him being frustrated and not knowing that they didn't put new tires on, but scuffs. And he couldn't figure out why his car wasn't acting like it had been acting. And so tires really were everything, and pit stops. Pit stops. We had people make mistakes all day long on pit stops, and we had people who made fantastic gains because of pit stops. Larson won the race because of pit stops. Hamlin sort of put himself out of contention for winning the race because of pit stops, which is wild. Uh, you know, obviously Hendrick was up there at the very beginning, and some things happen, and then Gibbs starts coming on strong towards the end, and so it's Gibbs and Hendrick, and maybe one or two Fords up there. I know Harvick was there. I know Keselowski was there, and just going back and forth with strategy, with momentum, with tires, with pits. It was great. It was fun. If you can't tell, I really enjoyed this sort of old school race. Even if I did have to watch the last stage, well, not watch, listen to the last stage on the road. Obviously, Larson ends up with a win. He had a fast car all day long. Him and his teammate William had a very, 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 very fast cars all day long. And I think there's probably 4 or 5 cars that, if they would have been up front at certain times, would have won, depending on how long the run was, and depending on 1,000 different variables. And the variables lined up for Larson to win. He's been close a couple of times this year. Obviously, I'm a Larson fan, so that makes me happy. But even before that, it was just a good race to watch and to enjoy all the different strategies. So that was Richmond, the spring race in 2023. And there you go. This is Let's Go Racing. I'll see you next time.